Hi, this is Jason Silver, the dating coach for ambitious women, and in this video, I'm going to tell you how to get a man to marry you. Okay, first things first, if you're trying to manipulate or force a man into marriage, then something is seriously wrong. Okay, a marriage is a committed partnership, so ultimately, you're really wanting someone who wants the same thing as you. But I'm going to go into 3 different scenarios where you might need a little bit of support or guidance. So in this video, we're going to review what to do if a guy is really hesitant to commit to you, or if he's saying that he will commit, but he's not actually taking any action. Or the third thing is maybe he's taking actions, but he's not actually popping the question and moving it to a marriage. Now, the first scenario is if you're with a guy who just doesn't even want to address it. He's not willing to commit. Maybe you've been with him for a long time. You've been honest with him about what you really want. You're transparent. And for whatever reason, he's just trying to delay it, ignore it, or avoid it. Now, the first thing that you have to do is ask yourself, why do I want to get married? Why is that so important to me? Why do I value that? How important is that to me? Is that really one of the most important things in my life? On a scale of 1 to 10, where am I at in terms of level of importance? Because one of the biggest mistakes that I see women make is that they try to avoid it. They try to postpone it. They try to just be patient. And what ends up happening is they start building resentment, frustration, and fear. And that starts to manifest in bickering, in fights, in all sorts of unhealthy relationship interactions. And why is that happening? Because you're afraid to talk to your life partner. You're afraid to talk to the man that you want to marry about something that's extremely important to you because it annoys him, or because he doesn't want to talk about it right now. At the end of the day, don't you want to be in a relationship with a man that you can talk to and be open about the things that are most important to you? So the only thing that you can do if he continues to avoid it over time, the only thing is to ask yourself, what do I really want, and why is that so important to me? And how much longer do I want to continue to be in a relationship with someone that's not willing to partner with me on this idea? Or at least be honest with me and address where they're at, rather than avoiding it for a long period of time. Now, the second scenario is if you're with a guy who says he's willing to commit, who talks about the future, but he doesn't actually take any action. Now, the bottom line with this one is the best indicator of what we really value is what we spend our time on and what we take actions on. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's really important with anyone, not just men, with friends, with peers, with acquaintances, to pay attention to the actions they're taking, not the things they're saying. So, at the end of the day, if he keeps saying, I will, and he doesn't, well, I would have a serious conversation about it and point out what's happening and explain your fears, explain your frustrations, explain what you really want, talk about a timeline. And at the end of the day, it's just like the first scenario, where if he doesn't take any action, you have to ask yourself, how important is this to me? How much longer am I willing to wait? And do you really understand what his situation is? Do you really understand what his fear is? Because regardless of what his fears are, regardless of what his hang-ups are, this is a partnership. This is about the both of you being aligned and willing to compromise on things. And if he is absolutely unwilling to take action in a compromise, and what do I mean by compromise, right? Because you don't want to be in a relationship with someone who considers marriage a compromise, but I might even be talking about timeline. Listen, a lot of guys are afraid of that commitment. For them, that marriage signifies that they've achieved where they're going to be at in life, right? It signifies that they're at a good place, and there might still be a gap. There might still be a gap in their career of where they are and where they want to be, or in their home situation, or a number of other things. So it's important for you to understand where they're at, but at the end of the day, there needs to be a willingness to get on the same page and compromise. And maybe that gap doesn't need to be completely filled before you say to each other, it doesn't matter where we are in life. It's the most important thing is that we have each other and that we're committed to one another. So we don't need to achieve some arbitrary goal in order to make that commitment to one another. I mean, that is aligning with someone. That is getting on the same page. So the second scenario, if he is saying that he wants to commit but he's not taking any action, it's the same thing as the first scenario. Actions speak louder than words. You have to ask yourself, how important is this to me? How much longer am I willing to wait and stay in this scenario? The third scenario is if you're in a relationship with a guy and you've already taken certain commitment actions. Maybe you're living together, maybe you've got kids, you're sharing bank accounts, those types of things. You're already living practically like a married couple. He just hasn't popped the question yet. And for whatever reason, he's not moving it to the marriage, right? Well, this is why I always tell my clients, you don't want to just live like you're a married couple without that commitment. Now, it's no guarantee, but it is symbolic, right? The ring, the institution of marriage is symbolic in a way of that level of commitment and support. It's something that I believe in and that I thoroughly appreciate. And I think if you just start living like a married couple without that symbolic ring, and it's important to you, it can breed challenges, because there's really no reason to logistically to make it happen other than emotional needs. Once again, I'm going to bring it back to that point. You want to be in a relationship with someone who cares about you, who wants you to feel good, who wants you to feel supported, loved, and secure. And so if he's not popping that question, then ultimately for you, it's about laying it all on the table, being vulnerable and sharing your fears, sharing your desires, and sharing your hopes for the relationship. Now, if he continues to either ignore that, avoid that, not address that, I think that you need to really understand the core of how and why am I with a partner who isn't really fully addressing my deepest needs. Like, that's really important to address that. It has less to do with this marriage and much more to do about why is this guy not willing to focus on my needs and what I really want and talk about it. Why is this avoidance? In what other ways is he avoiding your deepest needs and your deepest desires? So what you can do is, if you're in that relationship, I would try to address the communication instead of the marriage itself. Because at this point, you're already practically living like a married couple. So I would really focus on improving your communication and improving your partnership abilities, your compromise abilities, your abilities to focus on the we instead of the I. Because in my mind, a marriage is less about me living and more about we living. Thanks so much for watching this. If there's a scenario that I haven't addressed, please comment below and I'll answer it either in the comment section or in a future video. And if you like these videos, I'm coming out with more every single week, so please subscribe and I'll see you next week.